Screencast 51, Charting Part 5, Exploring XY Chart Types. So, let's go back to Visual Studio, and this is where we left during the last screencast. And the change I'd made there was just to make sure that the weekends were highlighted differently than the weekdays. Now, we spent a lot of time on this chart, and I haven't really explored some of the other rendering options you have that are built in. So let's go to the data region. Notice it says an XY chart, and XY charts have certain styles you can enable. You can see these properties here that are relevant: chart subtype, chart type, and there's actually a render in 3D. We'll avoid the 3D thing for a moment and just stick to the chart types and the subtypes. So there's obviously a column chart. Oops. This is a column chart, but I could switch it to a bar. Let's just see what happens. Okay, makes sense. How about line? Okay, that's useful, right? Okay, notice that the color, though, is not the fill color. It's the default color. So line charts, you have to use it's the line color specially. And that would not be hard to do. We can do that later. Let's go back to column and just look at some of the options here. So under subtypes, we have plain, stacked, percent stacked, straight, and smooth. You're probably wondering what happens when I do straight and smooth here. Let's go ahead and see what it means. First, we'll render in column. Let me make this a little smaller by zooming out a bit. Okay. And then I'll go ahead and make it the column plane. Let's see what happens if I put straight. Does it have any effect? Nothing really happened, right? What about smooth? And you'll see there's actually an error. It says the chart 0 has an invalid subtype. The subtype smooth is not allowed for a chart of type column. And if you think about it, it'll be pretty obvious why that is, because smooth really is relevant to these line charts. There we go. That's what a smooth one looks like versus like the straight. Okay. Now, let me go back to column, and I'll show you just a few more options here. Column, and then plane. Right? Let's try making it 3D. We'll click here, go down, and we'll say render in 3D. Okay? See what happens. So that's what it'll look like. And you can see there's actually a 3D style here. So these were cylinders. Let's try something a little different. Let's try changing that to false. These will be sort of blocks now. A little bit hard to see. Let me zoom in. More like blocks. And then we can change the rotation settings. Let's try maybe just a 15 degrees. How about a little bit less than that even? We'll go to maybe 5 degrees. See what the change will look like, right? It's pretty hard to see actually. So I'll go ahead and change this back to 30, and let's try some perspectives, right? Or vertical rotation maybe. I'll stop the vertical rotation. Okay, you see now it's looking head on. It looks a bit weird that way. And you can change the thickness, etc. Now normally, actually I would never recommend using 3D styles. I never think it looks that good in a report. So let me disable this. Back to false, and I'll reset these back to nothing, and we have back to our column chart. So let me zoom out a bit, and one of the benefits of the column chart is that it's a very normal thing. It's good for you to have a single series of data, like the counts for these blog posts. But we really have 3 series. We have A, B, and C here. So let's try setting it up. Let's add those things back into the chart. B, I drag in from the data set here. And this is where the column chart doesn't look so good, right, to compare it this way. If you had 2 values, maybe it would be fine. But with 3, it's hard. And this is where you want to take advantage of the chart type and make it, make this a line. And then you can compare these things much easier. So now you can see the traffic for these 3 series. Okay? And so our next screencast is going to be focused on what to deal with series. And what I'm going to focus on is, you notice that this data set actually names the 3 series. And the thing we're going to do is What happens if you don't know the names? You don't know how many series you're going to get, right? And we have to develop a specific technique to handle those cases. And the good news is I've sort of trained you in the last few screencasts to do it. You can take advantage of all that information, and I'll show you how to format it, because formatting multiple series that are dynamic is much more complicated than these series that are known in the first place. Okay, that'll be the next screencast.